Welcome students. This module is for the students of TYBA Economics, Semester 5, ECC 107, ECD 107 in the subject of Public Finance 1. Today we are going to study what is performance budgeting, the concept, principles, advantages and the disadvantages. This comes as part of Unit 3 Budgeting Techniques. I, Ms. Charmaine Savya Sequeira Lobo, Assistant Professor in Economics at Father Agnel College of Arts and Commerce, Pilar, will introduce you to today's topic. So in this module, you will understand what is the concept of performance budgeting, the need for performance budgeting, the process of conducting it, the principles of performance budgeting, followed by the advantages and the disadvantages, and lastly we'll take a look at the steps necessary for undertaking performance budgeting in India. So at the end of this module, you will be able to understand the concept of performance budgeting. You will gain a deeper understanding of the need for performance budgeting. You will be able to comprehend the process of conducting performance budgeting. You will also be able to elucidate on the principles of performance budgeting and explain the advantages and disadvantages of the same. And lastly, you will be able to list out the steps necessary for undertaking performance budgeting in India. So let's begin with the concept of performance budgeting. The US Bureau of Budget defines a performance budget in these words. A performance budget is one which presents the purpose and objectives for which funds are required, the cost of the programs proposed for achieving those objectives, and quantitative data measuring the accomplishment and work performed under each program. Now let us get a detailed understanding of performance budgeting. A performance budget is one that reflects both the input of resources and the output of services for each unit of an organization. The goal is to identify and score relative performance based on goal attainment for specified outcomes. This type of budget is commonly used by government bodies and agencies to show the link between taxpayer funds and the outcome of services provided by federal, state, or local governments. So performance budgeting is generally understood as a system of presentation of public expenditure in terms of functions, programs, performance units, for example, say activities, projects, etc., reflecting primarily the government output and its cost. Performance budgeting has been an improvement of internal management on the basis of volume of work to be accomplished during a financial year and its cost. So consequently, performance budgeting involves the development of more refined measurement tools such as work measurement, performance standards and unit cost, etc. So now having understood the concept, let's see what is the need for this performance budgeting. So a study team on financial administration observed that the main purpose to be served by performance budgeting are, number one, to present more clearly the purpose and objective for which funds are sought and to bring about programs and accomplishment in financial terms. Second, to help a better understanding and better review of the budget by the legislature. Third, to improve the formation of the budget and to facilitate the process of decision making at all levels of the government. Fourth, to enhance the accountability of management for control of financial operations. And lastly, to render performance audit more purposeful and effective. Now let us see the process of conducting performance budgeting. Under performance budgeting system, the overall budget is divided into functions based on the major purpose of work. And then it's subdivided into programs and activities. Funds are granted for doing a specific quantity of work. Performance budgeting implies that the budget statement should indicate the actual achievement expected by a ministry over a period of time from certain amount of expenditure. It focuses attention on the size and the cost of the program to be implemented. Thus, the process of performance budgeting is not merely a technique. It constitutes a new approach to budget formation and execution. Since the cost and benefits are indicated side by side, this technique helps in the decision making regarding allocation of funds. Now let us look at the principles of performance budget. Number 1, work management and the application of performance standards. So the first condition for the success of performance budgeting is the installation of work measurement and the application of performance standards within the administrative agency, without which performance budgeting could be defeated. However, it's recognized that there is no single yardstick measuring activity or for performing the performance standards. Second, record keeping along functional lines. The second condition along the road to performance budgeting is the establishment of record keeping along functional lines. Such reports would indicate the variance between budgeted and actual cost, thereby enabling management to check off the work accomplished against the work assigned. Third, integration of budgeting and accounting classification. The third condition for success of performance budgeting is an adequate and proper accounting support. Every step towards the adoption of double entry system and an accrual accounting may be regarded as a gain in precision and completeness. Fourth, organization for program management. It is a constant endeavor of the higher organs of the executive so as to evolve new methods, procedures, techniques of operation, of internal audit, so as to use available data for meaningful reviews and analysis of activities with a view to improve effectiveness and economy in question. And finally, proper classification of public expenditure. An important element in performance budgeting is that various types of expenditure, which are essentially different in character, should be presented, justified, and authorized separately under each program in the budget. So, having understood the principles of performance budgeting, let us look at the advantages of the same. A predominant segment of governmental operations can be reduced to sensible quantitative categories capable of measurement at varying degrees of refinement. Second advantage, it serves as a convenient tool for management. Third advantage, it serves as a convenient tool for reviewing efficiency of existing operations and their results, and as a system of feeding data for planning future services. Fourth, it upgrades the budget decision-making process by throwing up the requisite information on cost and work accomplishments. And finally, it makes legislative review, control, and policy making more meaningful. As everything has its advantages, it also has its disadvantages. So, these are the disadvantages of performance budgeting. Number 1. In some areas like diplomacy, work may not be measurable. Secondly, in areas like police protection, may not lend themselves to refined performance measurements. Third, large administrative overheads may present knotty problems of cost allocation. And fourth, sometimes running accounts of work may not tie neatly with budgetary allotments. So the last thing that we need to know about performance budgeting is what are the steps necessary for undertaking performance budgeting in India. Number 1. Restructuring government organizations on functional lines. Second, arrangements will have to be made to persuade all state governments to accept the timetable for the transition. Thirdly, a switchover should be preceded by adequate preparation. So, in this module, we have studied in detail what is performance budgeting. We have seen its need, the process of conducting it, what are its principles, its advantages, disadvantages, and the steps necessary to undertake performance budgeting in India. These are some references that you can go through to enhance your understanding on this topic. Thank you.